Hi, selamat pagi. Oh, good morning. We are going to be drawing a grasshopper. We're going to use dye. And I put the dye into this dye pen tray. Now, you know that some of these dyes dry there. But if I'll just use a wet brush and brush over it, it would just become watery again and I could use it. And there's my black color. There's a dark color that I could use to darken, and there is a yellow color that is going to be the main color. Okay, for my grasshopper. Okay, I'm going to do a yellowish type of washy grasshopper, and I'm going to outline it with Indian ink. Okay, and I have a big bottle, but I put into a small bottle so that it's easier for everybody to use. And you would also need your round brush. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is kind of map out your drawing roughly. You can use a pencil or you can straight away start with your dye wash. So I'm going to do my dye wash. Now remember when we did our mark making, there was a wash technique, but we used acrylic paint. So now we are going to use dye. So just wash in. Use the side of the brush sometimes, but if you want to have thin lines, you're going to use the tip of the brush. So I'm going to start by doing the wash with the... Okay, oh, there's a little leg for the grasshopper, which I've missed out. Put it there, so you can have a better view of what I'm doing. Okay, it's hard to have to video yourself doing stuff. Yeah? Sometimes it doesn't quite work. I don't know where to put stuff, you know, like to make sure that what I'm doing is visible on the screen. I can just, okay, that's my thing. So basically, you don't need a lot of dye, just a little bit. Not supposed to use paper towel, so you're going to use a piece of newspaper. You can see if it's get too dark, we've gone too dark, then you have just suck off now. That bit is, if it has gone a bit too dark, don't worry, just wet it a little. Don't brush it too hard because you don't want to be a scrubber, you want to be an artist. See, that would block out the darker color. Okay, now along the lines you're going to have a little bit of that dark color. Okay, that is going to be the fillers. Keep it light and simple. You don't need all the details, but you need the basic thing to make your grasshopper or whatever insect you're doing, your butterfly or your dragonfly, to look like a dragonfly if you're doing a dragonfly. Now I've done a dragonfly. I'm going to show you guys my dragonfly drawing. Did a dragonfly. Yep, this is my dragonfly. So I use wash and Indian ink for the outline and the textures. Now I use the skewers to put on the Indian ink, so you know that some of the lines really organic, you almost have no control of it, and that is the thing that adds interest to it. So you can see some of the lines really thick and some there's no lines. There's lines, there's no lines. So there's what I meant by line quality. So you have dark lines, thick lines, and almost no lines. No lines, kind of suggestive lines. And there's another butterfly that, sorry, not butterfly, dragonfly that I did. I actually collage on different paper on top. Okay, so there's a little twist, artistic twist. I was talking about to the class yesterday about adding a little bit of artistic twist to your artwork. Okay, you are the artist, you add the artistic twist. Okay, I'm going to Okay, adding in. And now I'm not using the side of the brush anymore. I'm using the tip of the brush because I want finer lines. So I am using just the tip of the brush and goes really light on it. Now if I were to press my brush, I get a thick line. If I were to dance on top of it, like very lightly, I get a thin line. So sometimes it's not this. Of course, the size of the brush matters. Whether you get a thin line or a thick line. A smaller brush, of course, give you a thinner lines, and a thicker brush give you a thicker line. But as an artist, you can also manipulate the thickness of your line by applying pressure on it. Okay, so if I don't apply a lot of pressure, I get a thinner line. Okay, so I'm going to be working on top of it. You have segment in them. Okay. Don't be afraid to turn your artwork around. Okay, some famous artists, they actually like paint upside down. Now I don't need to put in all the details when I'm doing the dye bed, because I can add more details when I am adding more detailing into my drawing when I'm doing the Indian ink bed. Okay, for the time being, I'm going to stop. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to use the Indian ink on top of it. Okay, now that it's dry, I'm going to be using the Indian ink. Do a bit of testing on the newspaper if you like. Yeah, you can have a little bit of it onto your dye pen tray and take it from there. It's going to be expressive lines. Remember, I spoke about line quality. So your line is going to be quite expressive. So don't worry about, like you get a big blob sometimes. That's the nature of it. And this is the time where you can put in a little bit of detailing if you like. Basically, don't overdo stuff. Sometimes less is more. Now, it's done now. Now, when it's done, and I want to go back and add a little bit of dye on that bit, because I realized that I kind of missed that bit out. I can always go back to it. Would be good to do it when the dye is dry, so it doesn't like mess up too much of your artwork. Okay, now do we need a background? It all depends. Well, if you want a background, go for it, but you don't need to do a background. You can keep it simple. Okay, it's all done. Yep, enjoy. Oh, there's my level 2 book. Okay, you can look at my other YouTube tutorial.